So just a little intro on who you are and what your life looks like today.
Okay. Me te mata kia tika tātai ne, tuatahi ka mi tau ki te atua I o matua kore, nanai hana I te ao katoa. Tuarua ka mi tau ki tō tātou ki rūheitia o te tau te tua whitu. Whakawhetai hia ngā mahi katoa I tēnei rā, I raro I te māha o te kihitanga. Rire haupai mārire. Ko Nicola paki toku ingoa. E uri tēnei o ngā pui, ngā tutu whare toa. Mani o poto, taina tuki manu ariki.
And what does your life look like today?
Comfortable.
Comfy?
Yeah. Humble. A lot more happier than what it used to be. A lot more tau. A lot more rangi Māori than where I was. Inspiring, apparently. I just like to stick to the concept of humble.
Yeah, winning. And what makes you want to share your story with CWK today?
Well, it was actually another rangahau that we were doing. I heard the bro Scotty. I think it was on Marae. I could hear his voice and I was like, oh, what's this egg up to? And then I heard your voice, and I think it was a kōrero around methamphetamine.
Yeah.
But you got into a kōrero of not caring about walking into certain places because of what you had already gone through anyway. And, you know, what have you got to lose? So, yeah, that was the bit that sort of triggered me. Yeah, and the hustler. You know, you talked about what you had to do. I didn't do those things, but I can understand because of where I've come from. Yeah.
Awesome. And where does your journey with domestic violence begin?
Well, we'll go back to where I met my perpetrator when I was about six or seven, down in a small town called Tokoro, Prares. My father had just passed away and my mother was on the board down in Tuwharetua, so we were passing through there a lot, and I was staying with this whanau a lot when she went to her board meetings. I entrusted in him because he sort of became a safety for me after my father had passed away, and we built a relationship from back then in my childhood.
Wow.
I've got whanau between here and Australia, Hawaii and South Dakota, but we had flown over to Australia at that time, and we could come back, and then I had hooked up with him when I think I was about 16, 17, 18 physically, and we got married young. I got married when I was about 18.
Fuck!
Yeah.
What was the wedding like?
Rushed.
Hey.
Yeah. So my whānau all Catholic.
Oh yeah.
For me personally, I try to follow our hahi of, you know, the marriage and then the baby. The baby came first, but I was trying to rush it. Yeah, we weren't ready. Obviously. He had his agenda with his affiliations with the gangs and stuff like that, and I had mine was to sort of maintain some sort of integrity within our whānau. We got married young. He started prospecting back then apparently, and then further on when he was patching, moving towards BP status, things changed. You know, it all goes to the head when you don't understand what you got. You know, he was a very simple boy. He come from a humble, lovely family. And when you don't know how to control that kind of power, money, and then you've got not fame, but, you know, everybody inside of your status. We started going in our own ways. Our relationship wasn't perfect. I wasn't perfect. Definitely not. Neither of us. But it just, as I found myself more and what I wanted to do with my life, go with a legitimate life, it sort of didn't coincide with what he wanted to do. So there was a lot of, what do you call it, kōrero between us parents, and it didn't work out. I think towards the last 2 years of my marriage, when I divorced, I had already, the woman always leaves emotionally and mentally before she actually leaves physically. Obviously, we were both seeing other people. It worked good when he was doing it, but then when I was doing it, or who are you?
Yeah.
Hey, why are you doing that? What gives you the power to do that sort of stuff? But my daddy raised me right. My daddy told me, we're all equals.
Yeah.
What they can do, you can do better. So I was out there salvaging something
yeah,
better,
I love that.
But that's when the troubles really start.
Yeah.
We got to a point where things were really bad, and I had actually, I'd had enough. I had enough of the domestic violence, and I was in a situation where it was either going to be him or it was going to be me. And I stabbed him. I stabbed him through the hand, through his fist that was coming towards my head. And at that point, I realised that this isn't me. This isn't who I was raised to be. This is not what I want to be for myself. This is not what I want to be for my children.
Yeah.
And I put some legal orders in place to make sure that things were maintained.
Was that the moment when
Yeah.
you were like, oh, fuck this?
Yeah, nah, there's no going back on that.
Yeah.
And I might be smiling and laughing, but I'm remorseful for what I did, And if I wasn't, I wouldn't have went down that track of, trying to rebuild my life and go in different ways. Other than the way that we have been doing, it was like a cycle.
Yeah.
That you're stuck in, and because when you marry young and you think that that's all you know, you don't know anything else. We both had physically left our relationship before the marriage was actually over, and I was at a point where I was happy. I was actually in love with somebody else. Not that it was ever going to be something, but to understand that again without, all the other drama.
Yeah.
I was in a good place at that time with somebody else. I wasn't happy, but I was doing better than what I was within our relationship.
Yeah.
And it was actually the support, I think the emotional support that I got from that person at the time, after my son was killed. Going through our relationship, there was a lot of DVs, like I'm not going to lie, I've had my fingers glued, I've had black eyes.
What do you mean glued?
Oh, well, when they get slammed indoors, you end up with nice pretty battle wounds like those ones, and then you've got that one over there. I've had my face slammed through a window, you've got some glass cuts over there. None of that was cool, but I acknowledged that it was part of my history and able to be able to speak with our people and empower them. Yeah. I've been there. You're on the bricks of getting to there. This is how it's going to be if you don't give it up now. Yeah. If you don't walk away now, It was probably the one that I'm still healing from is my son. After my son, prior to my son being murdered, my youngest, I was happy with another baby, Tamatsua, and how do I say this nicely? Well, I did my washing late at night, as we all do, and I lifted the washing machine lid, and not knowing he had left all his drugs on there, and I had scattered all his drugs all on the ground, obviously not thinking about it, going to bed, and then waking up when he was going to work at like 5 o'clock in the morning. He obviously nutted out, not just about that, but about pants, and he had booted me in the puku while I was laying in bed, and I remember arguing with him and then waiting for him to leave. Then I went to the bathroom, and then I saw that I had toto in my taros, and and that was the end of Tamatsua, well, in a physical form. I'm still healing from that, and I just wanted to acknowledge him. He meant something.
For sure.
To me and my entire whanau, and his whanau, especially his own whanau.
Yeah.
You know, they've been a great support through this journey, with my babies, helping me do my babies. Yeah. Yeah.
Did you go to hospital after that?
No. No, I went to my GP
Yeah.
because it was easier to make up stories with my GP. Yeah, it's a bit harder when you go to the hospital. But because my GP had entrusted me enough to believe everything that I said, yeah, I went to my GP, but I didn't tell him what happened.
What was the story that you said?
I just said I woke up like that. Yeah. Yeah, rukahu au. Engari, I was trying to protect him, trying to protect my family. Because you at that stage, like growing up, I didn't know what OT or cis was. It was actually like a joke that my nan used to bring up. The welfare will come and get you if you play too close to the road, just to keep us home. But I didn't even know what that was. But getting more into his gang life, I started noticing what it was and understanding, and you know, you had that fear.
Is that the reason that you tried to protect them? Was
Yeah, all the time, every time was for my kids. You know, a lot of our women do it. It's become the new normal. Oh, don't tell. You know, but I want to talk today so that our people, I'm on the other side now.
Yeah, yeah.
I work in social services with our whanau, and I don't work for Oranga Tamariki, and I'm not here to encourage our whanau to talk to Oranga Tamariki.
Yeah.
But in terms of our NGO, we've got all sorts right across the country. We've got whanau ora, raukura hauora. We've got everybody on board with our maraeas. It's okay for our whanau to talk, and we can't start the work. Well, they can't start the work, and we can't walk beside them unless they start opening up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're just going back to when you were in that situation, you know, there might be some whānau that are watching that may still be in that situation. You know, what can you share to encourage them to speak out? Because it is really hard to do that,
I think the first point is to acknowledge what's happened and that it's wrong. Because, I think, the hiding, nothing.
Yeah.
But it's the psychological imprisonment and the battered woman syndrome that our women face. And they don't understand what they're going through. It's getting past them own selves to get to a point to be able to speak out, and it's acknowledging that it's wrong within ourselves, what's happened. And then going to a point where who we can talk to. I wouldn't trust, I work for Manukau Māori authorities, and our whānau is paramount. Getting them out of those situations is paramount, and however that looks like, within a safety reason, if that's done appropriately, we are keeping our whānau focused. You know, and I believe that a lot of our kaimahiwa, our kaiarahi social workers in the Pākehā term, are doing the same as well. Reach out for that help. It's there, it's available. You'd actually be surprised of how many wahine are actually going through the same thing as what you're going through, but they're all, you know, scared of the hara of them speaking out, you know, all the repercussions of them speaking out.
Yeah. And if they were to, you know, come to a service like your fellas, or, you know, any kind of services, are they guaranteed protection?
Are they guaranteed protection?
Because I know that just from talking to all the women and that I've spoken to, that was a big thing, was that they were scared that they weren't going to be protected. Well,
I can't speak from their perspective. From my own personal experiences, OT, no. Oranga Tamariki, no. Yeah. Whanau ora, yes. But we are, you know, it's not, you're going to get it all your way and it's all going to be fixed. No, it's not going to be like that. We sit down with you, we make a plan with you, and it's up to you to follow that plan through. You know, this is absolutely your journey, for us to stand beside you. It's not for us to dictate the way that things have happened with these government-funded resources in terms of Oranga Tamariki. No, it doesn't work like that. It's up to that individual. We empower them enough to stand on their own 2 feet to be able to do it, but they've got to be ready to take those steps, and we'll protect them and advocate for them to the best of our capabilities and all the resources that we have.
Awesome. And you know, in terms of your journey, what was that moment, or when was that moment that you were like, yeah, nah, I'm going this way?
There and then, after I got the protection order and the parenting order, that was when I wanted to have a different life from the life that I needed to, not redeem myself, but, you know, I needed to find a road of redemption for what I had done. I own what I had done. I acknowledge what I had done. But I know what I did wasn't right. And it doesn't make up for all the mamai that he had done to me in the past.
Yeah.
The point and the principle that I was tau and I was mahara to was that this is it.
Yeah.
No more. You know, I'm going forward this way, and whatever way that looks like. It hasn't been easy. You know, you always have the moments where, oh, this is too hard. You know, you got to deal with the emotional side of things as well, which is the hardest part. Physical, that all heals. But it's the emotional and the psychological side of things that really takes a long time to heal.
And what kind of tools did you get in your belt to help you with that healing?
Well, they offer a lot of great tools, like when you go through parenting, through separations with the courts, when you're married and stuff like that. But I think the best tool that I got was my taha Māori, and the ways that we look at ourselves and we view ourselves is completely different to how we are viewed when we go to a Pākehā organisation. And it's about the tools that I learnt was, you know, when times get hard, don't pop a pill, do your karakia at school. You know, stuff like that. Or, are you not feeling toe? Or go down and wash in the awa, you know. You don't need to go to that hospital. I'm not saying it's going to work for everybody, but those are the tools that really work for me. Sitting down with my tohunga. When I need guidance, go to my matakete. Stuff like that.
Awesome, man. Awesome. Before we wrap this up, is there anything else that you want to share?
There's a light on the other side. Like I know where I am, you see where I am, but I stay humble, just stay humble and trust, you know. And we're Māori, as Māori and all races, we have resilience as wahine to be able to overcome what we have come. But it's about believing in ourselves enough to want to get past that point, ne?
Yeah, for sure. I just want to say thank you so much for sharing your journey with CWK, and wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.